My name is Mitch Benner, and we started this podcast to remove the stigma around sobriety from addiction.
My name is Aaron Nelson. Through our stories and the stories of our guests, we hope to help you find a new path.
All right, well, we're back. We just want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners and the support that we've gotten through our community. It's really been a lot of fun, and it's been rewarding to hear that, this is making an impact. So just want to say thank you to everybody that's supporting us and listening. Obviously continue to engage with us through social media, shares, all of that stuff helps. And just some cool stuff that we're doing right now as Shattered Darkness. I'm working on putting together a 365-day sobriety journal that brings all 6 of our pillars into this journal and kind of gives you guys the opportunity to work through those things on a personal level. So we'll be putting that out here hopefully soon. But anyways, today we have a special guest. I want to introduce Kimmy Turley. Kimmy is 22 years old, works for Fairway Home Mortgage, and she lives in Morrisville, Indiana. If you guys have been listening and following, Kimmy's mom, Angie, was one of our first 10 episodes. So we're super excited to have Kimmy here with us today. How's it going, my friend?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So
Absolutely. Well, you have the floor. It's up to you, so you can start your journey, your story, wherever you want. And we'll just plug in along the way.
Yeah. So actually, it was after we had our Fairway annual meeting back in March. I decided to, I wanted to go on this whole health journey of really focusing on my mental and my physical health because I haven't been happy for a very long time. And I was like, the last couple of years have not been the greatest and I'm taking my life back. And so I came back from our annual meeting that Monday, decided I was giving up alcohol and I was going on a total health kick. And since then, I've been down 25 pounds. I'm 4.5 months alcohol free now, and I could not feel better. And also for me, part of it too is I am somebody who comes from a long family history of people who have used and abused alcohol. And for me, it was seeing my mom's story, seeing my family members' stories of having family members pass away from alcohol, or having family members quit so late in life and they regret so much, or they look back and they're like, man, I wish I would have been sober for that. Or, I wish I was there for that memory. And I remember that. And I saw a lot of that through some of my family. And I was like, if I can make the choice now at 22 years old to give up alcohol and make a better life for myself, my future husband, my future kids, why would I not take the opportunity and that chance now when I have so much grasp on my life now, per se, because I am one of those people. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I'm like, things are kind of my way or the highway, and not always the most go with the flow. But honestly, since I quit drinking, I've been able to let a lot of stuff go that I normally couldn't have. And since then, I've had a lot of big life changes of having my 22nd birthday. And if you would have told me last year on my 21st birthday that I wouldn't be drinking on my 22nd, I would tell you were out of your mind, because I was one of those people. My 21st birthday, I celebrated like any 21-year-old would. And since then, I've been able to make a lot of great life choices, and I actually got my mortgage license last month. So stepping in the right direction of my career and taking the next steps towards my journey. So
let me ask you a question, because you're 22, so your drinking life wasn't, I'm assuming, and it wasn't, but you saw a lot of damage, right? And I actually think that that's really good and relevant, good to the topic. But, and thank God that you didn't have to go through these major ups and downs, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you're seeing family members pass away. And, what was that like for you at that time? Did you ever think that alcohol was an issue, or?
I didn't, just because, I have grown up in the Midwest my entire life. I've grown up around the mortgage industry my entire life. I've been going to events with my mom since I was 10 years old. My mom used to have me sitting there labeling postage cards and all those things for her at 5 years old, because she would pay me she'd be like, okay, whenever we go to the Dollar Tree, you get 10 things from the Dollar Tree. And that was my payment for doing labels on birthday cards and postcards when I was 5. So I'm like, I've been around the whole industry. And growing up in the Midwest, I mean, that has a big effect on people too. I mean, I live 30 minutes from Indianapolis, which is like the racing capital of the world. And we go to all the sporting events and concerts and we do all the fun stuff. And just growing up in some of the different environments that I've been in, drinking's always been normalized. It's always something that we all play games involving drinking, or every family function or every event that you go to, there is alcohol involved one way or another. And for me, it got to the point where over the last couple of years, I saw some things that I wouldn't wish upon other people to see, and people that are very near and dear to me. And I mean, my mom is more than happy with me sharing that I was there for her through a lot of her moments before she got sober. And that really took a toll on my relationship with her and my own mental health too. And I went through a pretty bad breakup a couple years ago that didn't help that situation either. And so once she got sober and I saw how great it was, I felt myself kind of slipping and doing some of the same things that I saw her do, or I've seen other people in my life do. And I was like, I don't ever want to get to that point where I ruin my life or my career for something as silly and as stupid as alcohol is. So,
and that's incredible, to
Mhm.
have that level of awareness, and at a young age. Like, I'm sure you don't feel young, but
No, I feel like I'm 22 going on 35 is what I tell people half the time, just because I did start working for my mom at 16, and my senior year, actually I'll backtrack, my junior year is whenever COVID hit in high school. And so they were like, okay, everybody go home. And I started working for my mom that summer. And my senior year of high school, I took on 2 internships. So I was working here, and I was also working just down the road at my high school for our school's communications director. And so I kind of stepped into the marketing realm in that way. But I started going to chamber meetings at 17 years old. Like, I've been networking for over 5 years now, and I've been learning the ropes. And I get it a lot of the times that I just have grown up a lot more quickly than other people around me. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily because of the things that I grew up around, but I have 2 phenomenal parents who never made me go without anything, but also they've made me work hard for everything that I have. Like, I am one of those people that is very grateful in that capacity, that I have a lot of the things that I do and I don't want or need for anything in life, hardly ever. But I also work my ass off for everything that I have, because that's a pretty big misconception I get a lot of the times with the position that I'm in. Is my mom is, she's built this business and she's planning on handing this business to me. And people are like, oh, your mom's just handing you a business, here you go. But I'm like, my mom started me as a intern at 16, doing birthday cards, doing the mailers, doing the systems. And now I'm at a point where I get to go work chamber meetings and sit on nonprofit boards and be a part of things that are my own, because she's been able to allow me to go grow and create my own relationships. And she's like, you're starting from the bottom and working your way all the way up to the top, because she doesn't want me to just be handed something and then 8 years from now when she does retire, she's going to be like, okay, I trust you now enough that you can go do this. I didn't ever want her to not have that trust in me either.
Yeah.
Can Angie really walk away from loans in 8 years?
No, there's no way. I'm like, she's still, I don't think she'll ever lose the desire for coaching and training. That is where her passion is. That is where her heart is. So definitely going to stay there. And I told her, I was like, well, you're really not allowed to retire, because what happens when I don't know an answer? You're the person who's going to get the crazy phone call, or you're going to be the one that I'm like, hi, how do you deal with realtors whenever they're being really mad or really angry, or, whatever questions I might have. So she said she's going to retire. I'm like, we'll see. We'll see.
I could see her being like a national speaker or coach or something like that. Like
100%.
She'll create the next ninja selling system.
We were dying laughing the other day. I was like, if we ever put like you and Gary Vee in the same room with each other, I can only imagine the things that would get done. Also, the amount of F-bombs that would be dropped in a single sentence. I think they would have a competition. So
I was going to say, you're definitely a little bit less foul-mouthed than your mom, but it's fine. Because
I try to keep it together a little bit. I was like, they'll fly here and there, but I try to keep it a little professional more times.
I try to as well, but I can't do it either. My 4-year-old son says all the time. And I'm just like, sorry.
I'm
like, I think that's a big deal.
I think I got it all out in the car on the way here. I was listening to, Tupac and Snoop Dogg and everybody on the way here, so I think I got most of it out of my system.
There you go. I like it.
I think as long as you're a good person, doesn't matter what words you say.
Yeah.
I
You
could
know,
not agree more with that statement.
if you let words affect you, you have a problem.
If you let
I
words
agree.
affect you,
Yeah,
I
it's all about actions and what you do. Like someone could,
I agree, but I feel like words have a lot of power. You
to
know,
yourself, like
well, and to
self
other
talk.
people, what you say to
If
other people.
but you got to be strong enough not to let anything that someone says affect you.
I agree with you. I
You know,
totally agree with you. But at the same time, sometimes words. That's what I'm trying to teach my kids. I'm like, you guys got to be careful what you say. You
yeah.
can't just say whatever's on your mind. Like people have feelings,
right?
and things like that. But I agree with you. Like I try to not carry like high expectations, super high expectations of people that or leave room for mistakes. You know what I mean? Because everybody makes them. And actually, speaking of which, I just went on a tangent on Facebook, dude. Like some guy posted some douchebag comment. So there was like in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, there's a lot of addiction issues going on, and they're just kind of pushing those people out of sight, out of mind. And so there was a video, and some guy made this dumb comment, and I was like, dude, I hope that you never get to a place where you really need help in your life. Because like with that mindset, it's like all she wants to do is do drugs. And I'm like, I guarantee you that woman does not want to be in that position.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, maybe it started recreational, or it was maybe she could have been masking some trauma in her life. But I was like, until you take 3 steps in her shoes, you cannot say shit like that. And I was like, that's exactly what's wrong with our society. And that's exactly what we're fighting with this kind of stuff, is that stigma of like, oh, well, it's your choice. You're a piece of shit. And it's like, yeah, maybe at the beginning, but there is a path, like there is a part of that path that it starts to become extremely unmanageable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We have a local nonprofit here through our local real estate association called the Realtor Foundation, and my mom actually sits on their board of directors, but the average age of a homeless kid in Indiana is 7 years old. And I'm like, do you think a 7-year-old wants to go be living on the street or living in shared housing or anything like that? Because we are really big proponents of our local nonprofits. I think between myself, my mom, and Josh, our business development manager, we sit on 20 plus nonprofit boards. And it's a big push for us. But it goes back to mental health is such a big issue in our country. And that's why a lot of homeless people are homeless. Like until you go and you sit down and have genuine conversations with those people,
Exactly.
or go talk to the executive directors of those nonprofits that don't have beds and have to turn homeless people away. Like they don't want to do that either. We have a local homeless
Well,
shelter.
it's just this societal stigma, right? Like this mental
Yeah.
stigma. There's so many comments in this section of like people just don't understand. They're like, how are you going to help somebody like that?
Right.
And I'm like, it's not hard. It just requires like you don't actually need to go in and do anything. Right, as a non-addict and as maybe a normal member of society, all you need to do is meet that person where they're at. Have some grace, have some compassion, ask questions, and then shut the fuck up.
Right.
And listen. And try to actually hear with your heart what these people are saying. And it's like you just have to find a way to connect on a human level. And it's like I can almost guarantee you that 80%, we'll use the 80-20 rule of addicts. Maybe 20% of them want to be where they're at, like I don't know. But I bet 80% of those people had some kind of trauma or situation in their life, that they were just trying to deal with. And the road got slippery and they went too far. And it's so common. And that's the thing. It's just like, all right, man, let the person with no sin cast the first stone.
I've seen it with my step siblings. All 3 of them have dealt with parents who are addicts, and it is awful to watch. It sucks. I'm like watching people that you love and care about so much go through the heartbreak. Like my stepbrother lost his dad almost 10 years ago, and it sucks. But now, he is living out in North Carolina and he's a Marine and he's now serving our country and doing all the right things. And it's just great to see what happens. And flip side, my stepbrother and stepsister, they're mom is an addict, and one of them is a lineman, and the other one is an esthetician and a nail tech, and they're both kicking ass and taking names, and they just do great things now. And so it's always great too to see other people break the generational curse too.
Yeah. Well, it's a choice, right? Like, and I think that that's where society, the lack of grace and all of that comes from, right? Because ultimately it is a choice, and it's a very personal choice. And there's probably a lot of people that choose to remain in their addiction, but at the same time, they need to understand that there's not a lot of control when you get to a certain point of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being met by people that are angry, or you did this, or, you know, having to explain, and just not being met with grace and compassion, you know, it's like that's going to turn that person off completely. Like, why would they not build a complete structure around those emotions? You know, if you're just going to treat them like shit and throw stones at them.
Right.
But let me ask you this. Did you ever experience like anything super negative in your immediate drinking experiences? Like, were there physical addictions, or I know that you've seen a lot of damage.
I have, and I was one of those people that I have a little bit of an addictive personality, if you will, and I was one of those, like, obviously, I won't lie. I mean, I drank when I was in high school, and I did all the things, and I partied, and I was never the party goer, if you will, when I was in high school. I mean, I was college bound, 4.2 GPA, did all of the college classes, ran clubs and yearbooks and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, this is why I probably do so much shit now that I do.
Well,
but,
yeah, for sure. That's my wife is the same way.
Yeah. I'm like, I did so much shit in high school that I'm like, oh, no wonder I don't know what the word no means. That's my problem. We discovered that yesterday. But anywho, I was getting to the point where I stopped drinking for fun. I started drinking to get drunk. And that was kind of the tipping point for me. Is I couldn't go to a social or go to a happy hour and have one without coming home and having another 6 to 10 and then passing out, and then the next day waking up feeling like shit.
Right.
And I'm like, within 4 years, I put on probably 50 pounds and I've lost 25. So I'm like, my goal is to eventually get back to where I was in high school, but it's a long road to get there. And that's one of the things that I've realized. But yeah, I definitely was getting to the point where I was just drinking to get drunk, and I wasn't drinking to have fun. And like, I wasn't very nice when I was drunk sometimes. And I feel like I was hurting the feelings of people that I loved and I care about. And I feel like too, I had a couple relationships that's why I was bonding with those people, or I would not have ever been with those people if I wasn't drinking. So I just started to see some things, and I started to see myself going down this path that I did not want to go down. And I was like, let's just go ahead and take a sharp left turn and just come back. So,
which is awesome, man. I mean, that level of like mental awareness, you know, of like, hey, this is not what I want. You know, and you said something too about like how you have aunts and uncles, but your step siblings are actually successful. And I don't know, I feel like, and maybe you could speak a little bit to this, but I feel like if you see that damage, you go one of two ways, right? Like there's no balance in there. It's either you follow that direct path, or you go the exact opposite direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because that was my mom's big thing. Is she graduated the 3 youngest of us all in the same year, and she was like, all of you are my sister. As soon as she got out of high school, went to esthetician school, and my brother, I kind of dropped the step a lot of the times, and I'm like, they're my brothers and my sister, and you know. Yeah, and so my brother, awesome. As soon as we graduated, he went out straight to the Marines, and like they totally took that path. And when my other brother graduated a couple of years ago, went straight to lineman school. Like
did they know that they were susceptible to it?
I think that they did, and like they all still drink and they do that, but I think too that I have became a lot more of a greater influence on them in that capacity, because I mean, my sister even mentioned the other day, we're going on a cruise in January, and she's like, I'm so excited that we're not buying the drink package and we just get to go, and like we don't have to drink the whole time, because on this trip for years we have gotten drunk and I don't remember half of it, and I'm like, why would I do that? Like, that's just silly. Or losing hours of sleep over stupid shit. And I think I'm starting to be a lot greater of an influence, especially on people my age, because it is one of those things that, yeah, we're 21, 22 years old. Like, I lost a friendship not long ago because I was trying to have an adult conversation, and I'm like, hey, this is a life choice that I'm making, and you're either going to respect it as my friend, and if you don't, then you're not my real friend. And she made it all about her, and she's like, well, I don't know why you're quitting drinking at 21 years old, and I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, and I would never quit drinking just because you did. And I was like, okay, well, then you're not really my friend because you don't understand why I'm quitting or clearly who I am. So I'm just going to put you in my past life and move on to my new life. Yeah. So
is that easy for you to make that transition like that, you know, and to have those conversations? Because I feel like a lot of people find that super difficult.
It is extremely difficult. Like Carrie Guerrero is my coach, and her and I just had this conversation the other day because I was like, Carrie, how do I share my story with people? Because there's times where people ask me about it, or they're like, hey, do you want to drink? And I'm like, no, I actually quit. And obviously it's something that is still fresh. I haven't even hit 6 months yet. And it is something that is still new. And a lot of people are still a little taken aback by it just because of my age. Yeah. And I'm like, how do I have those conversations of, hey, I'm sober and this is why, or do I just cut it off there? And she's like, well, it depends on your mood and what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, that's your choice. And I'm like, some days there are people that I love and I trust with my whole heart. And I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you why I quit and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But other people, I'm like, I just quit because I want to. And I leave it at that. And it's hard because I'm one of those people that over explains myself a lot. And I think it comes from a place of, you know, making the conversation and making the emotional connection with people is where I strive the most, especially you have to in this industry. I mean, you guys know whenever you go into a room full of people, you got to make that connection. Or if you're meeting clients, you got to meet them on an emotional level and explain to them that they're just not a paycheck or a number at the end of the day. Like, yeah. We never say that we've done so many units in a month. We say this is how many families we've helped. So then that way they don't feel like a number either. But it's hard to have those conversations sometimes. I'm getting better about it slowly but surely. Like, saying no, that's a really bad flaw of mine because I don't know what no means. So starting to learn that the more that I'm not drinking, then the more that I'm staying on this path. I have given up quite a few boards and committees and commitments that I've made, but I'm like, now that I have my mortgage license and we just opened up an office in Danville, Illinois last month, I'm like, I can't sacrifice sitting in rooms full of people that I'm not getting referrals from or I'm not having a genuine connection with anymore. So,
well, and what I'm hearing too is like you have the ultimate vision, right, in your mind of like, hey, this is what the end game looks like.
Yeah.
You know, which is important, right? Like you have to know what you're striving for in your life. And then you boil all that back down to, okay, what decisions can I make today that are going to serve that future vision?
Right.
And at 22 years old, man, like to have a mental grasp on life and things like that, the way that you do. I mean, it took me, I was probably 36 or this really started to permeate my mindset, you know, and really start in my life. And so it's cool to watch you at such a young age be such a great influence to that generation, you know. And there's people like one of our video producers that she's been donating her time for another thing that we're working on is 24, you know. And it's like I almost am like a magnet to you guys because I want to reach the next generation. So my next question to you was, how often, because of your age, are you finding yourself having those hard conversations with friends?
I would say definitely over the last few months, more times than not, because I mean that's what my friends and I did every single weekend. Like, yeah, totally. My mom, she travels quite a bit for work, but she was also in a relationship and she was out of town every single weekend, and they had a place that they went to every weekend. So my house was everybody come over, get drunk, everybody crash at my house, and that way nobody drinks and drives or does any stupid stuff. And that's what we did every weekend from the time that I was a senior in high school till probably about a year or two ago. Yeah. So for a couple years straight. And
well, and you're ripping that rug out from your friends, right? Now they don't necessarily have that place to go.
Well, and the nice thing is like I still live at home with my mom, and our house is definitely a comfort home. Like, all of my friends love coming to my house, but now they come over and like we just hang out in the hot tub or watch movies, or, you know, we're able to go out to dinners and do stuff. And I'm still one of those people to my friends that I'm like, hey, if you want to drink and you want to make that choice, I'm not going to tell you like what you can and cannot do, but I'm more than happy to be your designated driver so you're not an idiot and don't make a dumb mistake, because my brother has had a couple DUIs and I've also seen it firsthand with him too. I saw how much money this last one cost and I saw how fucked up he was after it. And I never want to put myself in a situation like that or put my mom in a spot like that where she has to dig me out of a hole that I don't think I would ever come out of. Because that was somebody the other day at a golf outing, which is another thing too. We go to about 100 golf outings in a summer, just between sponsoring and attending and playing and things along those lines. And I had somebody the other day look at me and they were like, "You're too young to quit drinking." And I'm like, well, I don't even know who the fuck you are. So you can just move on about your life. And
I mean, I think about that, right? And it's like, that's a comment that I would have made, 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just simply out of the fact that it's like misery loves company.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting. So how many of your friends have responded well to it? More than the latter?
More than not. So that is the plus side of it, is finally, once I made that choice, my friends were kind of taken aback by it, because I've done the 30, 60, 90-day cleanses of, hey,
Right.
I'm going to not drink, or I've done the 75 hard, I've done all that. And so they kind of thought it was just a lull and I was taking a break. And I was like, no, like, I'm actually serious. I'm not drinking ever again. And my sister is extremely supportive of it. And my best friend, who has been my best friend for 15 years, like, she is my ride or die and my rock. And there have been times where every time I hang out with her and her fiance, or we're hanging out in a group full of people, like, she goes and buys me mocktails, or she goes and buys me things that make me still feel included. Because I'm like, there's still ways to drink. Right. And that's what I've explained to my friends. I'm like, there's mocktails. They make non-alcoholic wine. They do all these things, which I have leaned into, because I'm like, you know what? I'm somebody who is fresh into quitting drinking, and for me, it's more of a social thing. It's being able to have something in your hand and being able to talk to people. But I'm like, I can go order a club soda or sparkling water with a lime and nobody would know a difference. So that's
actually, my wife's 20-year high school reunion was last weekend, and I had a couple NA beers, and it's the first time in almost 2 years that I've had anything that remotely tasted like beer.
Yeah.
And it was weird, man, but it worked. It was great, you know, but I know
it's more cold turkey and they can't do that. That's what I've kind of realized too, is there's a lot of people that I've talked to that when they quit, they're like, I can't even have a non-alcoholic beer because I'll just slip again, which I've had them and I'm not drinking them every day per se, but you know,
and it was weird. It's a mindset, right? This whole thing is a mindset. And, that's what we're starting to get into too a little bit, is like, how do you shift that mind? Because that's really all it is. It's like, okay, I'm just going to lay this down over here and have enough grit and determination to basically try to put my life back together on this side of it.
Yep.
That's really cool. So you would say that most of your friends have responded well to this. Are there any of your friends that have decided to not drink with you?
Not yet. I will say I've had a lot more friends who, if we're out and about, if they do decide to drink, they might have one or two. And yeah, it's drastically less. And I think it comes from a place of respect, but also just being around somebody who's not drinking, you're kind of like, okay, well, now I feel weird because you're not drinking, so I'm not going to drink.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, like you can go both ways with that, right? Like, you can get with your friends and just say, fuck it. And then before you know it, you're all blacked out. Or you could go the other direction, right? And it's like, all it takes is one person, to do something, and then everybody else is going to follow. And
I was that person. That was part of the reason, too, why I quit, because I was the total instigator of...
Totally, me too, 100%.
Let's all get shots. Like, hey, let's go out for drinks. Let's go do this. But I wouldn't say I've had any of my friends quit, which... I mean, I don't expect either. A lot of my friends are my age, but I'm one of those people, too, who hangs out with people that are my mom's age, or people that are in their mid to late 30s, early 40s, because I'm like, I just resonate with those people so much more than people my age. Just because.
What's the mindset of people your age? Like, and I'm talking from a general standpoint, right? Like, what do you think generally your mindset is, like, that your generation's mindset is around drugs and alcohol? Is it the way it's always been? like excessive?
I would say it is. I would say for people around here and people my age, it is definitely excessive. And it's just like, hey, why not try it or just go and do it? There's no like, I wouldn't say there really is any sort of stamina around it other than just everybody does it around here. And it's so normalized.
I'm trying to put myself back in that mindset of like
Yeah.
20, 21 years old, like that's like, it's a part of becoming an adult.
It is. And I have people my age, like I'm at the age now where everybody's graduating college. They're trying to figure out what the hell am I doing with my life? Where are we going?
Yeah.
What's happening? And I'm very fortunate in the fact of I didn't really have to figure it out. I didn't go to college. I started working at 16, went full time when I graduated high school and celebrated my 5-year anniversary. And I've made more money in the last 5 years than some of these people are going to have in debt and student loans. And I'm like, I couldn't ever put myself in that situation either because I've always had this general instinct that I was going to work for my mom and I was going to do this for a living. It wasn't, I know our CEO, Jake, he always makes a comment. He's like, nobody just wakes up and decides that they're going to be a loan officer one day. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person who ever has, just because I saw my mom helping people. And my mom came from nothing and now she has everything. And she's just one of those, I don't care if you live in a trailer park. I don't care if you live in $1 million house on the north side of Indianapolis. Like at the end of the day, we're helping you for who you are. And if you're a good human, then we want to work with you. And it goes back to the same thing of us being such big supporters in our community and in our nonprofits. And I think that's why it's hard for me to answer the question of mindset of people at my age because my mindset is not anywhere near people my age.
No, you're more along the lines of my generation.
Yeah.
Millennials. And I honestly think it's so acceptable in our generation, right? Because I feel like there's so much damage that has been caused from it and we experienced that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you talk about that, right? How do you bring that to light for the next generation in hopes that, hey, maybe some of them like you will look at this and be like, you know what? I don't want that in my life.
Yeah, that's my goal is I'm like, not even for just my future kids, but I have little cousins that I kid you not call me, text me every single day. And they're 5, 6, 7, and 8. So they're all in a row. And they are my like pride and joy and part of my life is they just are my little besties that I want to see grow up to be wonderful, beautiful humans. And I think they're starting to see too that people around them don't drink. And I'm like, if I can be a good influence on them or the next generation, especially in our industry and just my friends that I have in my local small town, is I actually started a group within Fairway called the Next Gen Group. So there's 4 of us that meet one time a month, and it actually sparked right after annual meeting. And I met 2 of them there, and one of them I've known for a couple of years. And I finally was just like, all of our parents work in the industry and they all work at Fairway. Why would we not start this group of the next generation of Fairway? Like that's going to be us. And I was in a group with people a couple of years ago that all of our moms were in a coaching group together and we were meeting monthly and it was great. And the group fell apart, unfortunately. And I told my 3 guys that I meet with once a month, I'm like, okay, we've been meeting for a couple months. Now, next spring, we're all going to go up to Madison because none of them have been to corporate in Wisconsin. And I was like, we're going to go up there. You guys are going to see Fairway Cares and see what our nonprofit does. We're going to go look at all the AWI stuff. We're going to go sit down with some people at corporate. Like, we're going to go do the things because we are the next generation within this company and within this industry. And I want to make sure, too, that we are shining a good light on the good things in life. So...
Dude, and that's incredible, and it brings me back to one of our pillars, which is faith. And I bring up faith a lot because for me, it's faith in God, faith in Jesus, that's my belief system. And I don't know what yours is, but at the same time, it's like faith develops purpose, right? If you have faith in something and you believe so much in it, like you said, your niece and nephew, growing them up to like helping them grow up to be good people. That's faith. You're living for something that's bigger than you, right? And you're putting that in front of everything else and saying like, look, if this is what I want, then I've got to make some hard decisions in my life. And and do hard things, right? And go up and get in these markets and do this philanthropic kind of work, and
Mm-hmm.
set an example, right? And that is not until I really found what that piece looked like for me. I was floundering,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm in the same boat. My mom actually brought me back one of those daily Bibles that our CEO reads every single day when she went to the Fairway Faith Summit in February. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And the first month, I didn't really give a shit. I was like, I'm not going to, if I don't read it, I don't read it. And now it is a daily discipline, a daily ritual that every morning I have that. I have a daily devotional that I read. I have my journal that I write in. And that is how I start my day. And if I don't start my day that way, I feel like my entire day's gone to shit.
Right.
But I'm like, just
How
leaning
long?
to.
How long does it take you personally to like introduce a habit like that into your life?
Well, I'd say really for me, like 30 days. I'm a big proponent of the book Atomic Habits. I read it a
Yeah.
couple years ago. It is my tried and true, and I tell people all the time to read it. It's so great.
Are you the kind of person that, like, you see something, you're like, okay, I could either do this or not do this, and you're like, let's just like move in that and just go do it. Like, you don't
Sometimes
put a lot of thought and emotion into it. You just are like, hey, this is what it is, and let's go that direction.
it depends. Sometimes a little more. I am definitely a little bit more on the emotional side than not, but there'll be other times where I'm like, okay, and especially when I talk to like Carrie as my coach or my mom as my boss and my mentor, I'm just like, okay, if you guys say that I need to do something, I'll do it. Because like we always have this running joke that my mom will filter stuff to Carrie and then Carrie will say stuff to me. Because then I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. I'll go and do it. But if my mom tells me, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
that's a given with her with some stuff. But no, I've seen a lot of things just from being 22 and being in this industry as long as I have, that I've seen what works and what doesn't from the back end, both personally and professionally. And I'm like, for me, reading a Bible every day and journaling and getting my mindset right in the morning, that's what works for me. And listening to podcasts and doing stuff like that, that works for me. But I know that doesn't work for everybody, because I'll send like podcasts to my friends and some of them listen to them, some of them don't. Because which to be expected. I'm like, if I send you a hour-long podcast as a 21-year-old, you're probably going to be like, what the fuck is she sending me? Like, why would I listen to that? That's stupid.
Yeah.
But then once they do, they're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Like, the Mel Robbins podcast is probably my tried and true. Like, I love her with my whole heart, and I have the Let Them theory tattoo. Yeah, I have that right here on my collarbone. My mom and I
reading it right now.
So it's a theory that I live by a lot of the times, and something that I've picked up on a lot more since becoming alcohol free is, if people want to be assholes, or if people want to have their opinions, or if people want to say whatever they want to say, let them. Because no matter what you do or say is not going to change the way that they think. It might after you have a conversation with them, but that first initial comment of, oh, you're too young to quit drinking, or why would you quit drinking, or that's stupid that you did. And I'm like, okay, well, that's your opinion, and you don't know me. I actually had a conversation with some friends a couple weeks ago. We were at a local winery, which my mom and I, whenever we go to events and things like that, if we're going to buy anything at an auction or support events, we're like, you know what, let's buy an experience. And we took all of our friends out there, and the two people who don't drink anymore were like, hey, who wants to go to the winery? You guys all want to go wine tasting? And I had somebody there. She was like, well, maybe 5 years down the road, you know, like you can come to these things and you can have wine, or you could do that. And I was like, well, you actually don't know anything about me, because if you knew me and knew my personality, you know the second that I started drinking again, I would never be able to bring myself out. And I think that's my biggest fear is if God willing that ever, I pray that that would never happen, but if it did, I wouldn't be able to come out of that hole. I'm like, that's a slippery slope that I would go straight down, because goes back to me having an addictive personality. And I was one of those people that I kind of set my mind to stuff too. And I'm like, I'm a doer. I'm not somebody who has a bunch of ideas and I just throw shit around and hope it sticks at a wall. I'm like, I'm the person with the 85 sticky notes up against the wall. And I'm like, okay, here's the game plan. Here's how we're going to get to the end goal. And I think that's a big positive in the fact that I am not drinking anymore, is I'm somebody that once I set my mind to something, it doesn't change. And I'm pretty set in my ways.
That's an uncommon human trait, I think.
It is. Yeah, and I get to be emotional, and I get to, I have my days still, and I will say since I've quit drinking, I've had at least 2 nights that I can remember that I'm like, F this, I want to go home and drink, and I didn't, which my mom and I still have alcohol in our house, which is bizarre. People are like, why do you have alcohol? I'm like, because we host all the time and we have people over all the time, but like, we don't drink it. It just sits in a cabinet. And we're like, if people want to have it when they come over, great. But I feel like that also kind of helps the tendency too. Because I know for some people they couldn't, but I'm like, I think that goes to show how strong we both are in that capacity mentally, is we can have booze in our house and it doesn't affect us.
Well, and that's really positive self-talk too,
Mm-hmm.
like, and that's kind of like, like I went to my wife's high school graduation and didn't drink. Did I want to? Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you walk away from those things, it's like this pat on the back, and you give yourself this boost of confidence in who you
Mm-hmm.
are as a person. And I think it's why I've become so, not addicted, but so ingrained in this podcast, because it's amazing to hear how other people have battled this in their life and beat it, and, draw wisdom from that. And,
Mm-hmm.
and then it keeps us sober. Selfishly, it keeps us on that straight and narrow, because we're accountable to whoever decides to listen to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's definitely leaning into different groups of people and different friendships and things like that has been my biggest thing, is finding people who are the biggest encouragers of it, or the people who are really big proponents of it. But that is one thing that I've been very blessed in the capacity of, is I know so many people who are just so supportive over my decision. And to the handful of people that aren't, I'm like,
it's because there's something going on in their own heart.
Yep. And I've tried to, I'm a fixer, I'm a giver, I'm a carer. And I'm like, if something's wrong with you, I want to fix you, or I want to help solve your problem. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I can't solve everybody's shit anymore. I'm like, I have to focus on myself. Like, I just quit a group that, it was actually a BNI chapter that I helped start 1.5 years ago. And just, we've been at a standstill for the last 6 months, and I quit yesterday. It took everything in my heart to quit, because I didn't want to, because I was like, I can't give up on my group. I still have 6 months left. But I'm like, I can't keep devoting so much time and effort into groups and people and things that aren't pouring into my heart and my soul. And I'm like, if I can take that time and energy and go focus on not only my business, but promoting the fact that I am not drinking, and share that with other people. Like our local real estate association, my mom and a local agent that we have, they just helped found and start this new group called RAW, and it's Realtor Affiliate Wellness. So they meet once a month at our real estate headquarters in downtown Indianapolis, and it's just a group of folks. It's not an AA meeting. It's not supposed to be that way, but it's anybody who's struggling with those issues or with those addictions, and they're trying to get away from them. And it's just a group for them to go and to meet once a month and talk through their problems, which I think we all need, especially in this industry, is to have those people to vent to and to start leaning into. And I mean, I have Carrie as my business coach. My mom is my, probably besides her and my dad, like my number one supporters in my life. And I go to therapy. I think therapy is a great thing for people. I'm like, if you can go and find somebody that you can confide in, that doesn't know shit about you, doesn't know shit about your life, that you can just go and get it all off your plate. I mean, since I've been with her, it's been about 1 year now, and the last few times I've gone, she was like, your anxiety is down like tenfold. Like, it is night and day of where you were when you started, and now we're going down to me going once every 4 to 6 weeks versus me starting. When I first started, I was going every other week, sometimes once a week. Yeah. So it's pretty dramatic of a change just in the last couple of months, and I'm like, I can only imagine where I'm going to be at in 1 year and what's going to happen then, which I quit on St. Patrick's Day, which is the most bizarre thing too this year.
Yeah, that's a pretty big drinking holiday.
I was like, I never thought, well.
Are you Irish?
Yeah, my dad's a firefighter. So for me, it's a big one, because, I mean, downtown Indianapolis, we have a big parade and festival every year, and we weren't able to go because St. Patrick's Day was on a Monday. And I'll remember, because we had annual meeting those few days. I flew home Sunday, and Monday I was like, I'm done. And it was one of our really good friends' birthdays too, and I was just like, damn, I never thought I'd see the day where I wasn't drinking on St. Patrick's Day, or I wasn't going downtown and partying. But I mean, even then I go to Pacers games. Mom and I have Colts season tickets, and we go to concerts all the time. And I'm like, it doesn't really affect me as much anymore. Like, I can just go, and honestly, it's nice to be able to remember everything and remember the whole game, and being able to go home. And when I go home, I can actually do shit around my house.
Yeah.
Or I can go hang out with friends that night, and I don't feel like I've lost my entire day, because that was my big thing with drinking at all the golf outings is I would drink all day and then turn around and I literally would go home and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to bed at 4 or 5 o'clock. And I saw my mom do the same thing. So I saw her do it for quite a few years. Of there'll be times where I've had to drive her home, or I have had to put my mom in bed, or I've had to be in that situation, which sucks, but I cannot thank God enough of the relationship that we have now and where we're at. Like, we just went on a trip for my birthday last month. It was a quick little 72-hour road trip out to Columbus, Ohio. But that was the first trip that I can remember that my mom and I never had an argument on. I was like, we're just at the point now where, I mean, we're going to bicker and we're going to bitch. We live together, work together.
Well, you guys have very similar personalities.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, on the disc assessment, we're pretty much the same. So we're pretty damn close. But, and us being two peas in a pod, you know, we're obviously going to butt heads, but both of us being sober, I'm like, I can only imagine the shit that her and I are going to be able to accomplish in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Being on a team together and doing all the things that we do. So.
Yeah. Well, you obviously have a very good head on your shoulders.
Yeah, I try to.
And it's, you know, and I like, it's the habits, right? It's the daily habits that put you in the right mindset. And I mean, I'll be honest, man, I still at 39 years old struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just trying to enact change in your life. It's not easy, you know, but it starts with your brain and how you talk to yourself. And, you know, that's why I think it's like, it gets easier and easier to say no to alcohol, right? Because in my world, when I do, it's like people are like, oh man, like that's awesome, dude. And, you know, it's like that feels good.
Right.
You know, that feels a lot better to me than having to wake up in the morning and ask my wife what the fuck I said to this person last night.
Yep. That was, my mom and I had a lot of those conversations, whether it was her or whether it was I. It was, what did we do last night? What happened? But
I wake up terrified, you know, and it's just like, I don't have to do that. And so
I've met a lot of people who are supportive of it, especially now, because at every golf outing we go to, we pass out fireball shots at every single one. And it's been our thing for 10 years is we pass out fireball shots. And I get people now that, you know, the last couple of years I've taken them with them, or we are taking shots. And now I'm like, okay, I'm not taking them. And they're like, why not? And then it sparks the conversation. And sometimes we do talk about it. And a lot of the times people are just like, congrats, that's awesome. And we move on about my day.
You know, and there's more, and there's so much more to that moment than just that. You know, you're planting a seed in people's mind, right? And especially somebody that's 22 years old, successful, you know, like you're planting a seed, you know, and I guarantee you those people that I have conversations, that you have, that Aaron has conversations with, you know, it permeates their mind in some way. You know, and it's like we're getting to a point with our podcast too where people are starting to reach out to us.
Yep.
You know, and be like, hey, we want to be on this and and it's really cool, man. Like,
yeah, that's awesome
to watch that. So, well, one thing that we always ask everybody is, what's like your one big piece of advice for the listener? I feel like you have a lot of really good, but if you had to pick one, what would it be?
I'd say my biggest thing, I would say personally, I would just go and find something that works for you. If you are struggling with alcohol or addiction or anything along those lines, find something that you can take that energy and put it into. For me, it is not only having my daily disciplines of reading my Bible, but I work out every single day. So whether it's you have to go for a walk, and also to go find somebody that you can lean into and support, and you can have a supporter in your life and know that it's okay to ask for help. Because I'm one of those people that I'm like, nope, I'll do it by myself. I'll figure it out. I don't need help. And then I finally hit the deadline or I hit the wall and I'm like, shit, I need help. Yeah. And so find that person in your life that can help you get through that, and find that person or that thing that's going to help you go in the right direction. And don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it is you go to an AA meeting or you reach out to somebody or you're like, hey, I don't know if this person's going to be very receptive to this conversation or not. And if they're not, like, go find somebody else to talk to about it, which is really hard for people to do. Like, there's been quite a few key people in my life that I still haven't had the conversation with yet. And honestly, this podcast is probably going to be how I share it with them. Yeah. Is, you know what, this is my story. This is how I feel. And I really want you to see that. And I'll say professionally, it goes along the same lines of go out and do the things. And you can go to happy hours and go to socials and not have a drink and it be okay. And let that be normalized, especially within our industry. And if anybody who is listening is an agent or a lender or a title person, whoever you might be in our industry, it's okay to go to events and not drink. And it's very hard for people to wrap their heads around. And if you don't feel comfortable, go home. Yeah. Nobody is going to care at the end of the day. Like, if you decide you're at an event and people are being assholes or they're trying to be condescending towards the fact that you're not drinking, go home and be like, you know what? I don't have to hang around you. I don't have to be around you, which it's a lot easier said than done. And I know that because I've been in the situation where I'm like, this is really uncomfortable, or I don't know how to tell people no, or I don't have people I want to talk to. But once you open up and you start to talk to people, you'll know that a lot more people are doing it, and it's becoming a lot more normalized, which is great within our industry and just our world and country in general, is that it is becoming more normalized that people aren't drinking as much. So
yeah, and that's, and I was going to say too, in those moments when you're choosing yourself, right? Like you're picking yourself over, and that brings a level of confidence, subconsciously. It's like, no, I'm going to pick myself, and you get in the habit of doing that, right? Like you're picking yourself for the right reasons, and you can turn around and start to help other people figure that out. You know, and that's really rewarding in your heart. Like that's how I feel about this podcast.
And you guys do a great job. And I listened to your video and your episode with Mom, and I'm surprised I didn't cry during this. I was kind of banking on the fact I brought a box of tissues in here just in case, because I was like, you know what? Listening to Moms, I cried like a baby. But that's something that I tell people a lot of the times is, at the end of the day, the only person you have is yourself. And you have to pour into yourself and devote your best version of yourself to other people and to yourself, because if you don't feel good about yourself, or you don't feel like you're going to be the best version of yourself just for you, you're not going to be able to do it for other people either.
Well, that's one thing I've learned through all of this is we tend to treat the rest of the world how we treat ourselves.
Yep.
And it's crazy to think about, but it's like in this recovery moment, it's an opportunity to really be selfish, focus on yourself, focus on what's important to you. And then go find people that are in alignment with that.
And it goes back to the whole concept of, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Totally. And we were all grown up being told that, and, go be the nice person to, the old lady crossing the street or the homeless man on the corner, like, go be the nice soul. But at the end of the day, you don't know what the fuck people are going through half the time. You don't know if somebody's having a good day. You don't know if somebody's having a bad day. So I tell everybody, I tell my little cousins, I tell my friends, I'm like, you don't know. There could be a time and a point, as terrible as it sounds, you could walk up to somebody with them thinking that's going to be their last day on earth. Yep. And you could totally flip the switch and make them realize there are good people in this world. And that's why I try to be such a positive light when I can. And don't get me wrong, there are nights where I go home and I cry myself to sleep, or I cry in my car between meetings because shit does hit the fan. And it sucks sometimes, but you have to put it back into perspective of your life could be so much worse than other people's, and being able to still show up for other people and give them that positive light of, hey, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. And I think especially for people that are trying to get sober or are sober and trying to stay that way, is be positive and be nice to yourself and be happy, and just overall, look at yourself every day in the mirror. If you got to say affirmations to yourself, do it. Like, just be as nice to yourself as you possibly can be, because at the end of the day, it is you versus the world, and you're going to have people around you that support you and love you and care for you. But, at the end of the day, who's more times than not, that's the person you're going to bed with at night, if it's not your significant other. So.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely agree with you. And I'm serious, man. For 22 years old, you've got it put together. I'm really
Thank
excited
you.
to see.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where you guys go.
Yeah.
Over the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you're going to do.
Yeah. We'll see if Mom actually retires. I highly doubt
we'll
it.
see.
But,
We'll see about that.
We'll see.
Well, Kimmy, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and for your vulnerability. It's just you have so much wisdom, in your 22 short years on Earth. So I just really appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. And yeah, it's really nice to get to know you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on and letting me share my story. And I'm looking forward to you guys getting some of your stuff out there. I'm buying merch. I'm buying a journal. I'm buying all the things.
I love it.
Once you drop it, let me know.
That sounds good. We'll let you know when everything starts coming out. But
awesome.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our wonderful co-host over here, Aaron.
Kimmy, you did a really good job and
crushed it.
That was really good. Just don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I'm standing right behind me.
Oh, hey, what's up? There you are.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just, running in and out, doing
Yeah,
I was
love
like,
it.
I get like 20 things out of my office, so
she's here.
It's good to see you. I'm glad you guys are doing well.
We are doing awesome.
Yeah.
Can't complain. She's
Yeah.
fucking badass.
I can tell just from 1 hour of talking to her. She's got it put together.
It's quite amazing. We're pretty happy with it.
I try.
Well, and then Angie, I might call you and talk to you about the raw. Did you call it wrong? Was that
Raw.
what it is?
Raw. Oh,
raw.
Yep.
So I was thinking about kind of starting something like that inside.
Yeah, it's Realtor Affiliate Wellness. It's gone really well. Our group started at 6, and I think last meeting we had like 21. So it was good.
Awesome. What do you guys do? What do you just kind of just check in with each other and?
Yeah, it's just sitting around in a circle, just like a friggin' meeting, and just, hey, how are you doing? Checking in, what's, what the stressors are, because again, we understand more than anybody what the fuck our jobs are about, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might give you a call and talk to you about that.
Oh, please do.
Okay.
I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
That'd be awesome.
All right, I gotta get my ass on the coach calls. Love you guys.
See you later. Good to see you. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kimmy. We really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks to you too.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.